As I reflect on the events that unfolded in my marriage, I am filled with a mixture of emotions, anger, betrayal, and a lingering sense of disbelief. My name is John, and I never imagined that my once loving wife, Emily, would be capable of such deceit. Our marriage began with love, laughter, and promises of forever, but as time passed, cracks began to form in our once strong foundation. Little did I know, those cracks would lead to a devastating revelation of infidelity. Our love story started in the bright, bustling halls of our college, where Emily's laughter was a melody that guided me through my days. From the moment we met, a connection sparked between us, as if fate itself had decided we were meant to walk together. We were young, full of dreams and aspirations, promising each other the world and everything within it. Those early days were filled with plans for a future built on mutual respect, honesty, and an unbreakable bond of love. Yet, as our professional lives took off, the demands of my career consumed me, unknowingly paving the way for a chasm that would grow between us. Emily, with her vibrant spirit, tried to bridge that gap, reaching out for my attention, craving the intimacy we once shared so freely. But I, lost in a maze of deadlines and meetings, failed to notice the loneliness that had taken root in her heart. It was during this time, when our conversations had become nothing more than brief exchanges about mundane aspects of our day, that Mark came into the picture more prominently. Mark, a family friend whose presence had always been a constant in our lives, began to fill the void left by my absence. He was there for Emily, listening to her, spending time with her, and providing the emotional support I had neglected to give. Their friendship evolved, blossoming into something more, something that should have remained forbidden. I remained blissfully unaware of the changing dynamics until that day when I decided to come home early, hoping to rekindle the love that seemed to be fading away. The scene I stumbled upon was far from what I had imagined. In our own backyard, under the canopy of twilight, I found Emily and Mark in an intimate embrace among the wildflowers, their bodies entwined in a dance of forbidden passion. The setting was unconventional, amidst nature, where the beauty of the surroundings contrasted sharply with the betrayal unfolding before my eyes. The sight was like a dagger through my heart, the realization that my wife sought solace and affection in the arms of another man. It was a moment of profound pain, a stark unveiling of the distance that had grown between us. The foundation of our love, once solid and promising, had been shaken to its core by acts of infidelity, leaving behind a trail of broken vows and shattered trust. The shift in our marriage was subtle, almost imperceptible at first, like the slow changing of seasons. Emily's laughter, once the soundtrack of our home, became a rare melody. Her smiles, once freely given, turned sparing. I, absorbed in a world of endless deadlines and aspirations, hardly noticed the gradual distance creeping in between us. It was as though we had become two ships passing in the night, familiar yet estranged. The change brought a coldness, a void that seemed to expand with each passing day. Emily's attempts to bridge the gap were met with my distracted nods and half-hearted promises of soon and later. In my blindness, I failed to see the growing loneliness in her eyes, a void I had unwittingly fostered. Into this chasm stepped Mark, a friend as familiar as family, whose intentions slipped beyond my notice. Their affair, hidden in plain sight, blossomed in the unlikeliest of places, adding a layer of audacity to the betrayal. It wasn't in the shadowed corners of a dimly lit room or behind the closed doors of a seedy motel that Emily sought solace in Mark's arms, but rather in the vibrant, living heart of our home, our garden. This sanctuary, a place of shared dreams and whispered secrets, became the stage for their illicit dance. I stumbled upon them one early evening, the day still clinging to the last threads of sunlight. The garden, a space that had witnessed the tender moments of our marriage, now held a different scene. Emily and Mark, entwined among the blooms that I had once tenderly cared for, were lost in a world of their own. The sight of them, so intimate, so utterly at ease in the betrayal, struck a blow that reverberated through the very core of my being. There, amidst the flora, the physical manifestation of their deceit was laid bare. The gentle caresses, the laughter that once belonged to us, shared between them with a familiarity that spoke of many such stolen moments. The raw intimacy of their encounter, under the guise of twilight, marked the irrevocable shift in our marriage. It was a tableau of betrayal, painted on the canvas of our life together, a vivid, unforgettable reminder of what had been lost in the pursuit of forbidden desires. Mark's entry into the fray of our deteriorating marriage was not marked by a sudden, jarring intrusion, but rather a gradual, almost seamless integration into the fabric of our daily lives. I welcomed his presence, naively content in the belief that he was a source of comfort for Emily, a bridge over the chasm my neglect had formed. His role in our lives transformed imperceptibly, from a mere family friend to a constant fixture, his intentions hidden behind a mask of concern and camaraderie. The truth, however, was far more insidious. With each passing day, Mark became more entwined in our lives, his visits more frequent. His conversations with Emily filled with an intimacy I failed to recognize as dangerous. I was oblivious to the silent alarms, the exchanged glances, the subtle touches that should have signaled their growing attachment. Wrapped in my own world of deadlines and corporate battles, I failed to see the emotional void I had left in my wife's heart, a void Mark was all too willing to fill. It wasn't until that unexpected early return home that the scales fell from my eyes. The garden, our shared sanctuary adorned with the vibrant hues of nature's palette, bore witness to their betrayal. There, amidst the roses and wildflowers, I found them. Emily, the love of my life, her laughter now a melody for another, and Mark, a man I had trusted, their bodies entwined in an embrace that spoke of many such clandestine meetings. The sight of them together, so intimate, so lost in each other against the backdrop of our garden, was a tableau that etched itself into my memory, a vivid portrayal of betrayal. The irony of the setting was not lost on me. In a place where we had once dreamt together, their desires unfurled in the most intimate of dances. Nature's own beauty seemed to mock me, the serene environment juxtaposing sharply with the storm of emotions raging within me. Their encounter, veiled by the twilight, was a revelation that shattered my world. The physical manifestation of their affair, brazen in its intimacy, underscored the depth of their deception. It was a moment of raw truth, laying bare the emotional neglect and abandonment that had paved the way for this infidelity. An unconventional encounter that marked the beginning of the end for what we once had. The slide into infidelity was neither sudden nor explosive. It was a gradual descent, fueled by loneliness and nurtured by opportunity. Emily, once the center of my universe, found herself orbiting the periphery of my life as my career took precedence. Into this growing void stepped Mark with his easy smile and attentive gaze, a salve to her neglected heart. Their burgeoning desires found a peculiar sanctuary in the most unconventional of locations, our attic. This space, cluttered with boxes of forgotten memories and cast-off remnants of our past, became the backdrop to their illicit encounters. I remember how Emily had always wanted to transform it into a cozy nook for us to share quiet evenings, a project we never began. Instead, it morphed into the stage for her rendezvous with Mark. The attic, with its exposed beams and the faint scent of aged wood, witnessed the unraveling of my marriage. They adorned the space with layers of secrecy and the thrill of forbidden passion, hidden from prying eyes. Amidst the relics of our shared history, they crafted a world of their own, where whispers and soft laughs echoed off the walls, blending with the gentle creaks of the old wooden floor under their cautious movements. I stumbled upon the truth one afternoon, driven by a nagging suspicion that led my steps to the attic. The door, usually latched shut, stood ajar. The sight that greeted me was a vivid tableau of betrayal. Emily, with her hair cascading down her shoulders, her eyes closed in blissful surrender. Mark, with a look of fervent desire, his hands tracing the contours of her body with a familiarity that spoke volumes. The dim light filtering through the dusty window pane cast long shadows, adding a sense of dramatic irony to the scene. Their encounter, veiled by the seclusion of the attic amidst the trappings of our once shared dreams, was a stark reminder of the emotional chasm that had widened between us. It was in this unlikely haven that their desires blossomed, away from the world we had built together, yet eerily nestled within its physical frame. The intimacy of their connection, unfolding in the hidden recesses of our home, was a blow from which recovery seemed a distant prospect. Walking into the situation, my footsteps were silent, guided by a mix of hope and an inexplicable sense of dread. The evening was supposed to be a surprise, a gesture to mend the fractures in our marriage. I had left the conference early, driven by a longing to reconnect with Emily. The air was crisp, the house seemingly quiet, a stark contrast to the storm brewing within me. I approached our home with a bouquet of her favorite flowers in hand, envisioning the smile that would light up her face upon my unexpected return. However, what awaited me was far from the warm reunion I had pictured. The silence of the house was deceptive, a facade that veiled the truth hidden within its walls. My heart raced as I climbed the stairs, each step heavy with the weight of my unspoken fears. The attic door stood slightly ajar, a sliver of light beckoning me to uncover the reality of my wife's betrayal. As I pushed the door open, the scene before me unfolded like a surreal nightmare, etching itself into my memory with unforgiving clarity. There, amidst the clutter of our forgotten memories and neglected dreams, I found Emily and Mark. They were ensconced in a corner, surrounded by boxes that held remnants of our past. The attic, with its hidden corners and shadows, provided them a sanctuary for their forbidden desires. The dim light from the lone window bathed them in a soft glow, accentuating the contours of their intertwined bodies. Emily's hair was loose, cascading over her shoulders like a waterfall of betrayal, while Mark's hands explored her with a familiarity that shattered my heart. Their bodies moved together in a dance of shadows and whispers, a silent symphony of deceit. The air was thick with their stolen intimacy, each breath and sigh a testament to the chasm between Emily and me. I stood frozen, a spectator to the unraveling of my life, the bouquet in my hand a poignant reminder of what I had hoped this evening would be. In that unconventional setting, amid the relics of our shared history, the truth of their affair was laid bare. The attic, once a symbol of future possibilities, had become the stage for their clandestine encounters, a poignant juxtaposition to the love and trust I believed we shared. The realization cut deeper than the cold air around me, a harsh awakening to the distance that had grown between us. My heart was thundering in my chest as I stood at the threshold of the attic, the once-planned sanctuary of our love turned into a chamber of secrets. With the door ajar, I hesitated, my hand trembling as I contemplated the collapse of the world as I knew it. Pushing it open, the creak of the hinges seemed to announce my arrival into a scene that would forever alter the course of our lives. There, in the dim light filtered through the dusty attic window, was Emily, the woman I had vowed to spend my life with, wrapped in an embrace with Mark, our trusted friend turned traitor. The attic, cluttered with memories of our past, now bore witness to their betrayal. The irony of this unconventional setting stung deeply. Amidst our stored dreams and forsaken projects, they had found a haven for their illicit desires. Emily's hair, a cascade of betrayal, fell loosely around her shoulders, framing her face in an image of blissful surrender I had longed to see directed towards me. Mark's hands, once symbols of friendship, now roamed her body with a possessive intimacy that shattered any illusions of innocence. Their bodies, intertwined amongst boxes of forgotten promises, moved in a silent rhythm, a damning testament to the void I had left unattended. I stood, frozen, the bouquet of reconciliation now a grotesque mockery in my grasp. The scene before me spoke volumes of the distance that had crept into our marriage, now made manifest in this most intimate of betrayals. Their soft moans and whispered affections, meant for hidden corners, now filled the air, marking the end of the U.S. I thought we were. The revelation was a visceral blow, not just to my heart, but to the very foundation of our shared existence. As they noticed my presence, the room fell into a heavy silence, the kind that screams louder than any words could. Emily's eyes, wide with shock, met mine, and in that moment, the full weight of their deception bore down on me, a moment of revelation that would forever redefine the boundaries of our lives. Navigating the turbulent waters in the aftermath of Emily's infidelity felt like trudging through a never-ending storm. The days melted into each other, each one a monotonous blur, punctuated by moments of intense emotional pain. My mind often wandered back to that unconventional setting in our attic, a place that had transformed from a potential sanctuary of love into the scene of her betrayal. The vivid images of them, intertwined amidst our old memories and dreams, haunted me. The raw intimacy of their encounter, cloaked in the secrecy of our neglected space, replayed in my thoughts like a broken record. The initial shock eventually gave way to a deep-seated hurt, a sense of betrayal that gnawed at the very core of my being. Emily's pleas for forgiveness echoed in the empty spaces of our home, each word a reminder of the chasm that had formed between us. She spoke of loneliness, of the emotional abyss that had consumed her, driving her into Mark's arms. I understood the words, the logical constructions of her reasoning, yet my heart struggled to reconcile the reality of her actions with the image of the woman I thought I knew. Amidst the turmoil, a part of me longed to bridge the gap, to reclaim the intimacy and trust that had been so carelessly shattered. Yet, the haunting memory of their bodies, so entangled in a dance of forbidden passion, served as a stark barrier to my forgiveness. The attic, once a symbol of our future dreams, now stood as a painful testament to the fragility of our love. In this period of profound disillusionment, I grappled with a myriad of emotions. Anger and hurt vied for dominance, each moment a battle between the desire to forgive and the overwhelming sense of betrayal. The path forward seemed obscured, the steps toward reconciliation uncertain. But in the depths of this emotional maelstrom, I knew that the journey to understanding and healing was one I had to embark on, for my own sake, if not for ours. Forgiveness came to me not as a sudden revelation, but as a quiet awakening in the aftermath of Emily's betrayal. The journey was neither quick nor easy, marked by long nights filled with the haunting images of her with Mark, their bodies intertwined in the secluded intimacy of our attic, a place that once symbolized the dreams we had shared. It was a setting I had never envisioned as the backdrop for such deceit, an unconventional stage for their affair that stung with a particular sharpness. I wrestled with a storm of emotions, from the sharp pangs of betrayal to the slow, simmering anger that threatened to consume everything in its path. Emily's tearful apologies and attempts at explanation, her feelings of neglect and loneliness, echoed through the hollow spaces of our home, each word a reminder of the distance that had grown between us. Yet amidst the turmoil, a resolve began to form within me, a determination to find a way through the pain. Choosing forgiveness was a deliberate act, a decision made not in the heat of emotion but in the cold light of reflection. It was a choice driven by the desire to heal, to move beyond the anger and hurt that shackled me to the past. Therapy sessions, honest conversations, and moments of painful reflection paved the way forward, each step a testament to the power of the human heart to overcome. In forgiving Emily, I found a sense of peace, a quiet strength that allowed me to look beyond the betrayal. It was not about condoning her actions, but about freeing myself from the weight of unending resentment. Our path forward remains uncertain, the future a landscape reshaped by the lessons of the past. But in forgiveness, I discovered the first step towards healing, a chance to reclaim the narrative of my life.